Welcome back. This is Piercewell Knitting. I'm Jennifer, and this is a knitting podcast all about knitting, yarn adventures, and travel. Thank you very much for joining me today. And as always, we have a fresh episode coming at you. Today, we are featuring a finished object that I'm thrilled to be sharing with you, an Oliver Cablework sweater. We're going to be getting into the fall spinning wheel. This was a randomized spinner that I was deciding on a new cast on, so this was completely chosen at random. We're going to review how many of those beautiful patterns I knit up, started, finished, and then this is the inspiration moving forward towards my new spring cast on. I have no idea what it's going to be, and I'm doing the same kind of randomized spinner, but in a very different way to fit with my 2024 knitting intentions. I hope you stick around. I'm thrilled to be here with you and sharing what the new cast on will be, because I don't even know yet. We'll bump in. We're going to get into the sweater that I'm wearing first of all. This is the Soldatna Crop by Caitlin Hunter, a beautiful top-down design of all color work. We've got 5 different colors that were intended by the designer. I used inspirational colors from one of her samples. Very different yarn. This is 2 strands held double of Holts Garn. I used a US 5 needle or a 3.75 millimeter needle. Look at me being organized. I've even got like my little ball bands all attached. I love this. So I can refer back to the colors that I've used, and I do have leftovers, I think, of every color to knit on in the future. A lot of these colors are heathered colors, and I picked them not only because of the sample that Caitlin Hunter had, but very autonomous colors, which I love, and I feel we can wear all season, every season. The one mod that I did do was the lace stitching at the sleeve to extend the sleeve further. When you do the sleeve split, my light's changing. When you do the sleeve split, there isn't the lace stitch in the original design. I believe I extended the body a smidge, believe it or not, to get a further length, although she's still pretty cropped, like belly button showing. And I might have added short rows if they weren't already in the pattern, and I'll show some B-roll. You'll see the back of that with the short rows that are happening right before the color work in the yoke. This was a beautiful knit to work on, really engaging. Obviously, we have to have the pattern in front of you the whole time. And this sweater, I don't think I've shared the story before. It's really near and dear to my heart. My mother had to get eye surgery, emergency eye surgery last year. So this was a cast on while we were waiting for all of those appointments, the procedures. We were in and out of the hospital a lot during that time. And so this is a sweater that is very, deep rooted in those memories with her. So every stitch was knit with her at some point while she was undergoing not nice surgery. All is fine now. Her sight, she's doing well. Yes, so memories wrapped into, of course, our me made makes. So every time I put this on, I'm reminded of her, which is nice. Moving on, we are going to get into my all over Cablework sweater, just to touch in. This is technically not my first cabled sweater. My first cabled sweater was a Snowy Forest by Midori Hirose, and that had cabling within the yoke only, and then stockinette stitch. This, my friends, is all over cables all the time. We are talking from head, well, I should say neck to body and sleeve. This is the Moby, and I've come up close because my lighting is changing as we speak very rapidly. But this is a dream come true of a cabled sweater. Again, I'll put in all kinds of different B-roll here. In short, you have seen this quite a bit, I'm sure, with other podcasters. This starts getting knit up at the back with the cables immediately, and short row shaping is happening to bring up that neckline. It's a trapezoid, and you can kind of see the coolness here. A trapezoid shape to get my goodness, the shoulder shaping, the body, all kinds of good stuff. You pick up stitches for your sleeves. No, what's this called? The shoulder. And eventually you connect to knit in the round, and you are working off charts the entire time. It is a chart reader's delight. I love charts, so this was my jam. This was a very daunting project for me before. Sorry, I fluff. Before I had started Oliver Cable Work Sweater, that seemed like a lot, and it wasn't that bad. I mean, when I say that bad, it wasn't that intense. I really enjoyed the process. This was something that I had to be mindful of, and I did have to track. I'll tell you about the things that I did to help me. Yeah, it was a pretty like enjoyable knit. It's lovely to wear. So okay, let's get into some of the details. What I used one strand of Peace Fleece. This was in their like a crew, some kind of cream natural color. I'll put it in the show notes, of course. And yeah, let me tell you, I have 2 books, because we had started this in technically 2023, my goodness, and then completed in 2024. Gold and silver, hello. So let me bring myself up to speed here. I've marked it already. So the Moby Sweater, this is before, mind you, my 2024 knitting goals, mind you. Let's say that. So I cast on with a US 6 needle for the body. I did do a swatch gauge swatch, my goodness, hello, for the double moss stitch. I did not meet gauge. So let me tell you the story. I hit, what was it? Yeah, 17 stitches per 10 centimeters and 22 stitches per row per 10 centimeters. The pattern, if you are knowing, is 20 stitches per 10 centimeters and 28 stitches 28 rows per 10 centimeters. This wasn't meeting gauge, but this is when I was being creative and a very naughty knitter, so hang on tight. We did some math, and I was deciding, what do I do? Do I recalculate this entire pattern? That's crazy. It's cables. We're not rewriting cable charts, and there are many charts. So what I did is I cheated a bit. Crafty. I'll say crafty. I was crafty, and I ended up purchasing the Moby Sweater Junior. This was my theory, is that if I picked the junior size, which is like children's size, that this could be the kind of, wiggling around, not getting gauge, because I was obsessed and motivated to use the Peace Fleece yarn for this exact pattern. Okay, so that being said, what did I do? I followed the biggest size of the junior size. It's the 12 to 14 years old. And I went to town. I followed the charts. Depending on who you are and your, aggressive knitter, recalculating and redrawing cable patterns and charts, you could potentially completely modify this. I didn't at all. I took the charts and I knit. And I knit exactly to the charts of everything. I find when there's more complicated knitting, I cannot deviate or don't want to deviate from the pattern. And I think that's kind of a nice rule of thumb for me. That being said, of course, I wasn't getting gauge and purchased the junior size. Anyway, long story short, it did work out pretty well. So again, using the size child junior, 12 to 14 years, we did well. It's a oversized cable work sweater for myself. It's very comfortable, very warm. I've been wearing it actually as an outside jacket for spring almost, in lieu of the jacket. And The yarn is a dream. What do I want to say? I used a, let me go to my other book now. Hold on. Book 2. And don't worry, I also have that marked. So I used a US 4 for all the ribbing to try to make it clean and tidy. And I had to do all of my ribbing 2 times because I'm a loose ribber. That sounds weird. I hope it's not. So whenever I do a 1x1 knit purl, this is hard. Again, I need more hands. I get really like loosey-goosey between my knits and purls, and I think it's my purls that are a lot looser. My knits are tighter the way I hold and gauge my yarn. So I've redone my ribbing where I feel like when I'm knitting, my tension is tight, and it's actually worked out really well. My cast stuff I used is in pattern for the sleeves and the bottom of the body. I had to check. So this is like a knit over purl, purl over knit to get this really nice clean finish. No, I didn't do a sewn bind off because those are not my favorite. And yeah, there we go. Nice little clean bit. What did I change on it because of my gauge issues? There were some things. One were the sleeves. So the sleeves for the size I was following and gauge I was getting, here you pick up for sleeves after you do all of the body. And I guess I can't share the amount of stitches to pick up, but basically I had to follow the second smallest junior size in regards to sleeve, because when I picked up for the 12 to 14 year sleeve circumference, it was ginormous. This is still a really big, hardy sleeve. And that was picking up, I think it was like 10 less stitches, basically, for the second smallest size. The other mod I did was the pickup for the neckline. I have the quantity that I picked up in my notes. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it because I don't know, I can't remember how many there were, but I believe I picked up about like, it was a lot less. It was like, I think you were encouraged to pick up like 3 out of 4 stitches. So you're like picking up 1, 2, 3, skipping 1, picking up 1, 2, 3, skipping 1. I almost did picking up 2, skipping the 3rd, picking up 2, skipping the 3rd, to get this neck. This neck really works for me right now. I've washed it, I've blocked it. It's a dream. I wear it a lot with my spring blouses with, of course, a pop collar. And yeah, so far I don't need to add elastic or anything. It's been great. It's heavy, right? Because it's cable. So you've got a lot of fabric that is built in. I think in general, that's it. What I do want to say, words of hopeful help. If you are looking, because you're being a naughty knitter, not following my 2024 knitting intentions, and you're getting a different gauge, consider knitting a different size. I think this goes without saying for most patterns. If you are willing to recalculate for a whole pattern and are very obsessed about knitting in that specific yarn, that's kind of a nice little like workaround, is to use just a different size. Consider using the junior depending on, of course, your body and what you need. And I really found that the junior sizes, this is the second time I've used a junior size for petite knit, and it works. I mean, it's a sweater. So there's no bust darts. There's no big girl things in the design that allow you to knit the woman's version or the my size version versus the junior version, if that makes sense. It's literally like a bigger, smaller thing. So I encourage you. I've had someone in the comments a while back saying that they started purchasing junior sweater size or junior patterns, and it's working. So let's do it if this is working, because I know, we're all different shapes and sizes here, and let's make things work and fit our bodies. Right, the little tidbit of info. Of course, if you have any questions about cabling or the specific pattern or yarn pairings, please reach out. Of course, I love chatting about it all and answering your questions. One, I never used a cable needle in this. I do not need and I do not prefer to cable with a needle. I didn't even talk about this, my goodness. First of all, these guys here, all this like cross stitching, lattice work almost, is faux cables. They're really easy to do. You're basically just bringing it's kind of cabling stitches in a different order, but I found this actually the toughest to keep track of. It was the hardest for me to read my stitching, if that makes sense. This stuff is all super simple, like double moss stitch, because you're knit, knit, purl, purl, knit, knit, purl, purl, so that's totally cool. This was easy. I won't go into the stitch work there, again, paid for pattern. The actual cables, it's like twisted cable to the right, twisted cable to the left. I mean, these are, I don't think, a big deal to do. And it's basically allowing myself to hold those stitches either in the front or in the back and basically shove them on my needle in that different order. So it can be a little awkward if you're not used to it. But I didn't need it. I didn't need a cable needle. I have used cable needles in the past, even for like a 2x2 cable. And this was like a 4x4, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I mean, you could practice on something first to see if that is suiting for you. No cable needle for full cable sweater. Yeah, it's doable. Yes, the other thing, all the charts. The charts are like crazy overwhelming in the beginning because you are doing short rows. You're doing, I think it was literally like 3 charts in the beginning. So my brain was like, whoosh, like flames were coming out and smoke. I just took it easy. I just made sure I didn't have distractions around me, and I went, and it was fun. It's good. So I would suggest if you have people around you, maybe you want to knit on something different, especially not the beginning of the sweater while the short row shaping is happening in the back. The additional part, when I came to start knitting in the round of the body here, the rows of the chart for the back and the front did not line up. It wasn't like I was knitting row 5 front, row 5 back. It was like something weird, like I can't remember exactly the rows, but say it was like row 5 and then row 13. There was no correlation, didn't make sense. Usually I try to do like a numbers thing where it's like, okay, evens, odds, whatever. There was nothing. But then it was so silly because really it was like an equivalent type thing that was happening in the front and the back. So even though I thought it was super complicated in the beginning, it took me a while to figure out it's really not. You're really knitting the same thing in the front and the back. It's mimicking itself. It's just on a different row in the chart. Anyway, if you knit it, you'll see what I mean. It makes sense and it's not as complicated at all. I'm very proud of this knit. I'm so happy about it. I'm thrilled the way it turned out. What I would do next time, I would follow my 2024 knitting intentions and I would make sure that I get gauged first with an appropriate thickness of yarn and needle. That's where I'm going with that one. Yeah, I think that's it. My goodness. I mean, I again could chat for 5 years about it, but I think I will conclude the Moby Sweater there. Yes. Okay. So that is the Moby Sweater by Petite Knit. Cast on, cast off, and she is looking fabulous and getting lots of wear. Next up on our docket of knitting today is reviewing the autumn knits that I had in the randomized spinner. This was something that I came up with, just a fun, silly idea of picking my new cast on. I find oftentimes when I have such a variety of options, which is lovely to have, it's a luxurious problem for sure, I really get stunted and I have this like decision paralysis that can happen. So I found a limited amount of options, and then having a randomized spinner that just picks a pattern for me is very helpful. It really guides me because this is obviously like curated knits that I would like to knit at some point. This just helps me pick the next one. And I'll bring it up, I'm sure, in some kind of imagery beside me. This included, this is from Autumn, the Jupiter crop, I'm reading them all around my spinner, the champagne cardigan, the Moby sweater, the first light sweater, the bell sweater, the Portia shawl, and the pressed flowers pullover. I'm thrilled to share, up to date, as of today, I have knit the champagne cardigan, the Moby sweater, the Portia shawl, and the pressed flowers. So that is 4 sweaters out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, out of 7. So there are only 3 sweaters I have not knit from my autumn spinner, which means that must have been overall really successful for things that I did want to cast on to. Really happy about those. So I've casted on, I've casted off all of those. I'll put some little footage here of the sweaters that I've created or shawl. Yeah, fun. So what I've done for spring, because again, so many decisions are, there's so many options right now, and I'm coming to finish my Magnolia Bloom. It's just a delight to knit on. Can't wait. It will probably be in the next episode that I'll share with all of my knitty updates. But I need something new to cast on. And this is always the thing. I have all this beautiful yarn. I have all these patterns in my library that I've purchased over time. What to do. So here's what I did. I took the idea of this randomized spinner, which is from Picker Wheel. I'll add a link to the show notes. And instead of doing patterns for spring, which I think is brilliant and nothing wrong with that, I've definitely done that obviously in the past, I'm going through with my 2024 knitting intentions first. I'm choosing the yarn. I have not gauge swatched any of these. This is literally, whetting the appetite, if you will, an amuse-bouche to get started and drive forward to a knitting pattern that would fit gauge. So instead of doing patterns all around my spinning wheel, there are yarns. I'm going to walk you through the yarns, and then we are going to do a spin. I hope my computer doesn't die before then, and there's a lot going on. She's very hot, and I'm concerned. Hopefully it's okay. I will walk you through my yarn. First up, I'll do my oldest yarn that I've had. I have sweater quantity of this stunning beast. I have 2 cones. This is Harrisville Designs Highland Wool. The color specifically is Tundra. I bought this years ago now, and it's in kind of a greeny, yellowy, strawy, very spring beginning green, fresh green color. This is a color online, looked very different to me, and I wasn't excited to knit it up. But of course, we're spring, and I'm kind of feeling it. I've actually tried to give this away before, a whole sweater quantity, and it wasn't successful. So I've taken it back, and I'm now motivated. So this is joining my spinning wheel. This would be the only yarn that I would knit with. And yeah, sweater quantity. I technically wouldn't have to gauge swatch because I've got a couple other sweaters in this exact yarn, just different color. So that is one option, the Harrisville Designs Highland. It's beautiful, beautiful. Okay, next up, I have, everything's very Canadian after this, Topsy Farm. This is a farm that's located on Amherst Island in Ontario, about 3-ish hours from here. They have, I think it's like 500 sheep, very Canadian, very rustic wool. I've knit with this as well. This is their worsted weight in their, I think it's just their pink colorway. It's pink. I don't know, it doesn't have a name. And this is a very saturated pink. I've bought it since in, it's supposed to be the same shade, but it was very much more lighter. So I've reserved this for a fun knit. I have enough to probably do like either a very crop sweater, could be 3-length sleeve sweater, could be a vest. I'm not sure. Again, we'll see. I've used, I think, the Aran only before. So this is a thinner yarn. That's the Topsy Farm pink colorway. Next up, I have Canadiana, Meaford wool. This is a gorgeous yarn that I bought up in Owen Sound last year during the car show. This is by an independent, of course, farmer, and has just beautiful yarn. This actually bought in the knitting store up there, which I'm blanking on the name right now, but I'm sure you can shout it out in the comments. Fun little store up in Owen Sound if you're in the area. This is, I think I bought 5 of these. I definitely have a sweater quantity. Super soft in this cream color. I'm just trying to find, it's Columbia sheep. So it's got a little halo, micro halo. So even though, you know, it's Canadian yarn per se, pretty soft, super squishy. So this I had paired with these to do possible color work. These are independent dyer from Oakville. I met her up in Barrie last year. These are naturally dyed Canadian wool. These are much more rustic, itchier, woolier, if you will. She dyes up apparently in her basement of her Oakville house these beautiful yarns. This color is marigold, and it's a worsted weight, it says, but it looks pretty chonky to me. The same in this purple colorway, which she's calling Lac Light. Beautiful colors. And I remember her telling me exactly what she had used to dye these, and I would have to go back into my show notes because I cannot recall, but they are stunning. So I thought there may be a pairing. This, I don't even think has a gauge on it, but it's possible it could go together. That's an option. The next option is another Canadiana. We're going outside of Ontario. This is Heidi's by hand. I've knit with her yarn once before as well. It's a hand-dyed yarn, super fun and neon with little blips of like violet, a little less dye in some areas, which I think give it some dimension and funness. This doesn't have a colorway color, but is 100% Canadian wool. This is what it says. 100 grams, great. And it's designed, I should say dyed probably, by Heidi Wolfrat. This was yarn that I picked up in Mahone Bay in Nova Scotia. I knit with her yarn in another hand-dyed, exact same weight, for the weekend slipover by Petite knit, but I paired that with a mohair. This I would not pair with anything. Possibly knit this alone because I have probably a small sweater quantity of this, like a crop sweater we're talking, or the other option is pairing it all together with this. Again, I don't know about gauge, but that could be an option. Okay, so we are looking at, to just review, and it's on the spinner, so you're going to see it. It's going to, you know, we're going to do this live. We have option 1, Hairsville design, the cones. Option 2, the Topsy Farm pink. We have option 3, my goodness, hold on, which is this combo here, Canadiana. We have option 4, which is this guy. Am I missing one? I have 5 options. My goodness. 1, 2, I got it. 3. This was 4. And then the independent was 5. Okay, so 5 options of gauge swatching. So let's spin to win. I'm going to bring my computer up. I'm going to try to take video of this if it allows me to. Well, it's pretty hot. I hope we're okay on this. I have nothing else open. Okay, we are going to spin to see. Sorry, I'm closing all my other tabs. Hopefully not to, you know, overheat my computer even more. I forget how to do this. I have my spinner in the center, so I'm going to start documenting with my video. So I'm bringing up my window here now. I'm going to do the video, not the photo. Okay, I'm recording. So you see all of my options here. All right, here we go. What am I gauge swatching? And then we'll pair a pattern with it. Option 1, 2, 3, or 4, pretty much all Canadian wool. Let's see. We are spinning out of control with all of the yarny choices, beautiful palettes. This is too ironic. It has chosen, which is fantastic. They all are fantastic. The Harrisville Designs Tundra cones, which is my oldest yarn. Ironically, it's like it knew it wanted to get it out of stash. All right, that's the way. That's the way the cookie crumbles in a good way. I'm going to go done because it's selected my cone. I'm excited. I'm always excited that that you're here with me. I'm just going to stop the filming of this. All right. Hopefully it captures it okay. Oh my goodness, my computer. I don't know if you can hear the fan. It's just not doing well. Okay. Let's see if it's in there. It is. All right. So we will be gauge swatching or doing a cheat with an item, a sweater I already have. Possibly I'll be fiddling around. I'll probably gauge swatch, fiddling around with different knitting needle options to get different gauges and thicknesses of my fabric. This is it. This is going to be the next cast on. Tundra. The yarn I tried to give away, not because I don't like the yarn. I adore this yarn. This will be, I think, at least my third garment knit in this exact yarn in the Harrisville Designs Highland. It's the color. I don't know. We'll be a little brave. It is beautiful with all the different like heathering bits. I just don't know if it's for me. Maybe I knit it. Maybe I give it away. I don't know. Okay, that will be the next cast on. Very exciting. Okay, so next time you're with me, hopefully I will have gauge swatched, and maybe pick a pattern. Maybe you'll help me pick a pattern. I don't know. It's exciting. Okay, right. Thank you very much for being here as always. So excited that you were joining me today. I love that we were able to do this together and you were able to see randomly what was going to be essentially the next cast on with me. I love that. So exciting. And casting on, come on, like that's the best. I'm so glad you were able to join me for that. I love casting on. I love this version and way of like randomized, picker where we get to choose in a fun way a new cast on, and it's exciting for me. I hope you enjoyed it too. Maybe this is inspiring you to go outside of your box, picking out yarn from your stash to use, and get something fun, springy-ish on your needles. So thanks for being here. Love it so much. Let me know what you're casting on for spring. Maybe you've got some ideas what I can knit up with the Harrisville Designs Highland. Let me know. Let me know what you think would go well in this colorway, Tundra. We'll see. If you are liking this episode and others like it, I invite you to click the like button, subscribe, consider that. If you are finding yourself even more willing to click on the link below in the show notes, that will bring you to the Ko-Fi page where you can make a lovely donation. So thank you very much. And thank you to people that have donated already. There, of course, is my link to my first and only knitting pattern design for favorite fingerless mittens, so you can find that there in the show notes as well. I think that's it. So I am wishing you great joy in your knitting today, and hopefully you're inspired to cast on something new, possibly randomize your knitting journey with your next cast on. And until next time, thank you.